Good morning, fam. What is going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for being on the show. Today is Monday. Today is November 11th. Today is Veterans Day. Could I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me today following Alabama's 42-13 victory over the LSU Tigers. Today on the show, this is our press conference show where we do have Nick Sheridan, Kane Womack, and Coach Kalen Deboer up at the podium. 11:30 a.m. Central Time. We'll also take your calls today on the show. We're going to do after further review against LSU. We're going to talk about Kalen Deboer this season. We're going to talk about the last two games that Alabama has played. Q-Rob is out this season. That is some big news that just came out yesterday by the team reporters. You got a Caleb Cunningham potential flip and an Ivan Taylor flip. We're also going to hit on that. Our Veterans Day salute, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. What's trending in the world of college football? Well, the AP updated rankings came out, SEC standings and the outcomes, contenders and pretenders, who wins Georgia or Tennessee, who wins Indiana or Ohio State. Your calls on the show, and I appreciate you guys being here. How's everybody feeling today? We also got T up in the house. T?
Good morning, everyone.
And T, it's your birthday today.
It is.
Wow, happy birthday to you, and Veterans Day as well.
Yeah. Happy Veterans Day to everyone.
Happy Veterans Day. All right, so I couldn't wait to talk to Veterans Day. This is the birthday is a big deal to me, and so is Veterans Day. All right, so what we did on Veterans Day is we are going to have a Veterans Day board. All right, so before we start going to the show, what I want you to do, all right, and we're going to do this throughout the show, you are going to tell me inside the comment box if you serve this amazing country, all right? And then we are going to put you on the board. All right. So you tell me, you put your name, like your username, and then you put the branch, right? T, that's probably the best way to do it. So like, Patriot Life, Marines, right? Antonio Snell, Army, whatever it is. And then we'll continue to list out this board. And then this isn't going to be a one-time deal, all right? Because it's not like you get a freedom just like once a day, right? You are free if you live in this country. So what we are going to do as part of the show is we will always refer back to the Veterans Day board, all right? So that's like the Veterans board. That's what we'll call it. But on Veterans Day, that's how we're building it out today. My show, my rules. You want to make up your own Veterans board? Go ahead. But I understand that freedom isn't free, and I love to celebrate this great country. So that's what we're doing today on the show. It's a veteran board. So throughout the day, list your name. I'll remember periodically. This is a long show, so get comfortable and list. So is how we had anybody so far. List, if you're serve this great country, list your username and your branch, and we'll start to put it on the board, all right? And yeah, definitely happy birthday out to T as well. T, how you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Okay, yeah, I'm excited too. All right, look, we have a lot to go over. And we start in Alabama basketball. They have a game tonight too. This is action-packed. They're playing McNeese, and I hope they can shoot the ball better than they did in the last game. 6 of 41 from outside the arc against Arkansas State. All right. We're starting to get some in, T. Are you able to, you got a good system?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Upon further review, we start right now. I love to circle things on the board. It's what I like to do. So what stands out to me against Alabama LSU? Clearly 12 of 18 for Jalen Milro, 109 yards. Not a lot of production throwing the ball, but that wasn't part of the game plan. Where the game plan was almost kind of similar to what they did last year against LSU. LSU could not stop Jalen Milro in 2023. In 2024, they had no chance either stopping him on the ground. He ran for 4 touchdowns last year, runs for 4 again in this particular game. 12 attempts, 185 yards, 4 touchdowns. A longest of 72, average of 15.4. Yeah, run the ball, right? And what we've seen from Alabama in the last 2 games is a high production of running the ball. We're going to talk about that more as well. Jam Miller, we set the tone at 15. Would he run for more than 15 or less? Once again, he goes under that mark. 13 carries for 38 yards in this game. No touchdowns, the longest of 8. And then you have Richard Young, who got in 6 carries, 27 yards, and a touchdown. My goodness, when he put his head down, I mean, that's the one thing about these Alabama running backs is they are very physical. Richard Young, I think, might be the most physical back that we have here on the roster. Who else saw that in the back end of the game is when Richard Young kind of put his shoulder down and the guy just fell right to the ground. We saw that from Justice Haynes' last game against Missouri. So these guys are really physical, and I think this component right here, this second box, Alabama rushing, whether they run the ball with Jalen Milro, Jan Miller, whoever it is, if you run the ball and you control the time of possession and you play good defense, you probably win as many games as possible left on the schedule. I think that's just it. All right, we move on to the next slide. This is upon further review against LSU. This is receiving, and if I put an X, those are things that we want to see improve, or things that stand out to me, not necessarily in a negative way, just things that stand out to me. And it's interesting, like if you're a receiver in this game, right? Like the leading receiver is a running back. 5 attempts, 50 yards. Ryan Williams, 2 for 29. Look, I get it. The drop probably goes on Ryan Williams with the long, deep pass, but it was a monsoon. So I don't really know about that. And then the deep pass from Jalen Milro to Emmanuel Henderson, that was 100% on Milro. That was probably the only inaccurate pass that he threw in that game. C.J. Dupree has 1 for 12. And then, look, Kendrick Law was used a variety of ways. And I like this. I think over the last couple of games, we've started to see Alabama try to figure out how they are going to get the football to Kendrick Law. I don't know if you guys have noticed that as well. He had 3 rushing attempts, see here at the bottom, and then he had 2 receptions. So 5 total touchdowns for Kendrick Law, which is probably still too low. But another time, look, Kendrick, if they're going to throw the ball to you right here, you got to catch it, because the ball literally hit him. That was, Jalen threw it right on the money, and the ball hit him like right in the face mask. Here's something that I found interesting, okay? So this is Jalen Milro's overall statistics throughout this season. So let's start with the top box on the left, okay? So from South Carolina on to this last game against LSU, one thing that I want you to look at is the touchdowns and the interceptions, right? He's only thrown 2 touchdowns in the last 4 games. To me, that raises a little bit of an eyebrow, right? Along with this as well. 2 interceptions against Tennessee, 2 against South Carolina, but really no touchdowns here and no interceptions here. And you see the percentage before, right? We got into this point in time, 77%, 61, 70, 81, 65. The last 4 games, he hasn't even hit 70%. So just something to watch. But in terms of stopping the quarterback, look on this side, this box right here, 12 for 185, 11 for 50, 14 for 11, and 18 for 36. Now, in this game right here, he was sacked 3 times, so the sacks go against his overall rushing numbers. But as you can see, look at the total carries. If we could, we do some quick math right here. In the last 4 games, the guy is running the football 12 plus 11 plus 14 plus 18. Comes out to, what does that come out to, T? 12, 11, 14, 18. He's the leading running back, 55 carries in the last 4 games, right? All right, now do some more math right here. So 55 divided by 4. He's averaging 13, 14 rushes per game this season, right? So something that stands out to me. And now coming up next, you got Mercer, you got Oklahoma, and you got Auburn, the rat poison games. Back to Alabama versus LSU. Here's the team stats when you look side to side. You have Alabama with 420 yards, which is good. I want them to have that amount of yards. We talked about the rushing and the passing. They have 311 rushing yards collectively. That is a number that absolutely checks the box. I think against Missouri, they had like 273 or something like that. Penalties, that was under 10, right? They had 14 total penalties in this game. I think we set the bar at 16. So under 10 for Alabama. That's good. First downs, 23. LSU had 22. Third downs, look at this number right here. Third downs, Alabama was 10 of 13. That's fantastic. In an atmosphere like this, 10 of 13, you take that all day. And on the other side, how does the defense do on third downs? They were 6 of 14. So those 2 numbers right there are going to help you win games as well. LSU 2 of 3 on 4th down, and Alabama won the time of possession as well. All right. What's up? I appreciate you guys being here. We got 170 on. If we could get 170 thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. T, how are we looking on this on the veterans board? Is it starting to come? All right. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go. Let's go full box. All right. So why don't you read these out? T, could you read these out?
Yeah, we have John Delaney, Army, Ephraim, Army, Sailor Camp, Navy, Timothy Dowdle, Air Force, also his birthday. Happy birthday.
No way.
Yep.
A double birthday?
No, we have another birthday, too.
What?
Yep. Army 3275, who was in the Army Purple Heart and Bronze Star.
Wow.
Coastal South Army and a birthday. Happy birthday. And then Tony Lipscomb, Army, and Jack Allen, Marine.
Okay, so what? So for the happy birthday, can we get like a cake emoji in there?
Yeah, I'll get a cake.
All right, put a birthday cake there. All right, so what we're doing today is our veteran show. So go ahead and list your name just as you see. And then what we're going to do is continue to add you to the Veterans Board. All right, so it's Veterans Day. I wanted to honor the veterans that are on the show. So I know there's a lot of people that have served this great country. We appreciate you. We understand that freedom is not free. And thank you very much for being a part of the show right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Today on the show, we're talking after further review, and that's kind of where we were at that point in time. We're going to talk about Kalen Deboer. We're going to talk about Alabama over these last two games. Q-Rob out for the season. Look, that's a big loss. So when you look to the three players, I wouldn't say Keon Sabb is out for the season. So you look to the three players. You have Q-Rob, Alabama, Wolf position player. He's out, right? You have Cole Adams, receiver. He's out. And look, it's never good when these guys go out. But I look to it in terms of the depth. You have depth at Wolf. But what was interesting, and I still got a couple of things to talk about before I talk about Q. But you know what was interesting, and I don't know why, but Keanu Coate didn't travel with the team to LSU. He could have been sick. It could be something else. I have no idea, but it's pretty ironic that when a guy goes down, you know, your depth is a little bit low in that area. We'll talk about that in just a second. Cole Adams out, and then Keon Sabb. The guy has he had like a broken foot. They said lower leg. We never know what the injuries are, which we shouldn't, right? It's a privacy deal. They haven't said out for the season. So Jeff Allen's been able to bring some guys back at a high. It's not like you or I were injured, right? We talk about that all the time. So we'll get to the injuries in just a second. Let's talk about Coach Kalen Deboer real quick, because what he's been able to do this season, look, I said this yesterday and the day before. Throughout the entire season, this guy is going to be under the microscope. We have criticized every single thing about him, including the shirt that he wears during the game, right? Like that. Think about that. Who would have thought coming into the season? I would have thought, okay, we're going to criticize him X's and O's, you know, the podium and like what he says. I never would have thought we would have been talking about his T-shirt. Whatever. This season, we didn't even know this, that the season was going to be this shark that we threw. Kalen Deboer, think about the stones that this dude has. This dude literally jumped into a shark tank following Coach Saban. So Coach Saban leaves, and here's, you know, how the scuba divers do. I never understood why the scuba divers go backwards. You know, when they have their tank, is it because of their tanks?
I'm sure. I think it's probably, because the tanks like weigh them down, probably.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So this is Coach Kalen Deboer. He put on his scuba tanks, and he just went right back into the shark tank. And so, I mean, the SEC has been crazy. We're going to talk about SEC scenarios about which teams go in and this and that. This graphic right here, I thought on the bottom, I put this graphic together. It says L against unranked Vanderbilt. I thought it said Lur Vandy. I was like, what the hell is that? All right, so in how I listed it, on ESPN, when you look to who Alabama has beaten this season, they list it where the teams were ranked when the two teams played. So that's how I listed it here. Like, I get it. Georgia's not number 2. LSU is not 15. Missouri is not 21, etc. Tennessee's not 11. But at the time when Kalen Deboer and Alabama faced these teams, this is what they were ranked. That's how the graphic reads. So you played number 2 Georgia, who at that point in time was a favorite to beat Alabama, right? You saw the graphic that Georgia doesn't lose to anybody outside of Alabama. I know they lost to Ole Miss, but that was kind of the thing going in. He was able to beat Georgia, Alabama as well, right? In his first game in the SEC, which is absolutely crazy. And then you go on the road just recently and you beat LSU, Brian Kelly, at Tiger Stadium. You beat Missouri, who was depleted, whatever. They were still ranked at that point in time. You lose to Tennessee and you lose to Vandy. We get it. those 5 games, I mean, they have 3 quality wins in the top 25, and they played 5 teams that are now ranked. Was it 5 or 6 teams that are ranked in the top 25? I think it's 5. I think Vandy might have dropped out, but you get my point. They have played an absolute gauntlet of schedule. You know who hasn't beaten one ranked team this year? Who they're ranked in the top 5. They haven't played one ranked team.
Indiana?
Yep. Indiana has not played. How is that possible? Like, how look, and things will sort itself out. What do they say in France, T?
Que sera, sera.
Right? And what does that mean?
What will be, will be.
Thank you. And so the thing is what will be, will be. But, man, I just have a hard time. And I'm going to talk about the playoffs and all this other stuff here in a second. But, like, BYU, undefeated, Indiana, undefeated. Come on. Like, look at this. Look at this schedule. Okay. Just look at this. Would Indiana beat Georgia? Would Indiana beat LSU? Would Indiana beat Missouri? Would Indiana beat Tennessee? Would Indiana beat Vanderbilt? Ask yourself those same questions in those same type of games for BYU. Would BYU beat? You see what I'm saying? Like, the conferences are not the same as each other. But anyways, Darian saying that Josh Pate thinks that 4 to 5 SEC teams get in. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely 4. 5 probably a stretch. But I do think 5 are deserving based off the schedule that they have played, right? Anyways. And you know what? The last thing I'll say about Coach Kalen Deboer, 2 things. Number 1, we've been all over the place. We've been emotional. We've talked about it. We've been mad about it. We've called for changes. There was a point in time, we could go back, where a great majority wanted Kane Womack to go to Southern Mississippi as the head football coach. Those are facts. There was a time where we wanted Nick Sheridan to get on a boat and sell off to Johannesburg, South Africa. That's not how we feel at this point in time. Things change. Kalen Deboer has stayed the same. Emotionally, he has been right down the middle. He's never been too high. He's never been too low. He's continued to coach his team to what's been a very impressive season up to this point in time. The other thing is the recruiting aspect. To be able to step into this Shark Tank and to be able to still recruit at this high of a level says a tremendous amount about what prospects think about the overall brand right now. I mean, they're number 1 in the entire country. Who would have thought? There was a couple things that I didn't think would happen. There was I never knew. I knew Ryan Williams would be good. I didn't know that he would be this good. Like he's going to catch for 1,000 yards or whatever. I didn't think that would happen. And I didn't think that Coach Kalen Deboer and the staff would be able to retain. I thought they'd be like maybe like 5 through 7 in recruiting. I didn't think they'd be number 1. I mean, you're losing Coach Saban, the brand, the greatest recruiter ever. That just tells you how solid the foundation is and how well these coaches have been able to continue to sell their philosophy in terms of coaching Alabama football. Hey, Daniel X with the super chat. T, can you read that super chat out? It's from Daniel X.
What's up, man? Can we win without Q-Rob? Will wide receiver Jalen Hale return? Great blowout win. Roll Tide roll.
Oh, that's another good update. Yeah, we've never really had. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the update and the super chat. We haven't really had an update on Jalen Hale. I think someone one time spotted him like running onto the field in like his street clothes. That's really been kind of the update. I don't think there's been like a marquee update on him, but really good question. And I would think as we get later on to the season, that might be something that a reporter asked Coach Kalen Deboer. I don't know if he's out the entire season. Daniel, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. And then can you win without Q-Rob? Yeah. I mean, it's not good when a senior leader, right, a graduate, it goes down with the season-ending injury. However, when you look to the depth that Alabama has, you have Quay Russo, you have Keanu Coate, you have Yanzi Pierre, right, up in the fold. So maybe one of those guys continues to step up. And we have seen Keanu Coate a little bit. We have seen Yanzi Pierre. But the interesting thing is, when I go back to it, and I'm going to talk about it, I think, next, is Keanu Coate, I have no idea why he didn't travel with the team. There's no update on that. Here's Alabama overall in these this season, right? And what I did was I drew a little box around these last two games. And you're only getting better or you're only getting worse. And how Alabama has played in these last two games, and again, I'm smart enough to understand that Missouri is not, who we thought they were at the beginning of the season because of injuries or whatever. But I mean, to be defeating teams in those two games by a combined score of 76-13, I think we need to update that first graphic, T. I think we have 68-13. But it's really it's 76-13, yeah, in the last two games. And you looked at how the defense has played in these last two games, which is probably the most promising facet of where we are at this point in time. Because we all know what Alabama's offense is capable of. Come on. Like, you got to stop Jalen Milro. He can beat you deep downfield. Option read. He's the most dangerous quarterback in the country, whatever. But the defense, you're like, man, can the defense step up? The defense did what they wanted to do against Missouri. But against LSU, in that environment, against a quality quarterback, against quality wide receivers, I was nervous about that. I think we all were. There was a lot of people that had that game tight, right? But the way that the defense played, absolutely outstanding football. You know what? There was a graphic that I didn't hit on, and I want to hit on this because it goes along with the defense. Sorry for missing this earlier. But the play of Jahad, and this goes right with what I was talking about. The last two games, you looked at how Jahad Campbell has played. Yo, Jahad Campbell, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. This guy is playing like a top 10 player in the 2025 NFL draft. 12 tackles, 6 solo, sack and a half. 3 tackles for a loss. Look at that. That's crazy. And then Deontay Lawson, he's getting a little bit overshadowed by the play of Jahad Campbell, but don't get it twisted. Like, that guy is right there as well. The athletic play that he made on that interception was fantastic. They had 19 total tackles combined against LSU. That is really good when you have your 2 inside linebackers playing at that high of a level. And then I also listed Bray Hubbard. Look, the play of Bray Hubbard stepping in for Keon Sabb was going to be a difficult task considering the Alabama secondary was a vulnerable spot, and I still think could be vulnerable. However, they did improve against LSU, I will say. Nothing over the top, but Bray Hubbard steps in. The guy has a nose for the football. You see that big monster hit that he had against LSU? The guy, I think he's the hardest hitter pound for pound on the defense, and he comes up with another interception. So, man, Bray Hubbard certainly doing his thing in the Alabama defense, and that's why I kind of go to this box at the bottom of the screen. How are you playing for me lately? Well, when your defense only allows, 2 touchdowns in those last 2 games with a shutout, that's pretty impressive football. Now, and I think going forward, too, you do have the edge against Mercer. I know Mercer has only lost 1 game. You do have the edge against Oklahoma towards the back end of the season. And I don't want that to become a rat poison type game, the game against Oklahoma. Like, we're not even talking about Mercer right now. Mercer's only lost 1 game. Oklahoma, you're going on the road to Norman, SEC, Big 12 type environment. Brett Venables, Coach Saban always says this team still has pride in performance. It's going to be their Super Bowl. Mercer, it's going to be their Super Bowl in Auburn. I think we have Daniel up in here, who's an Auburn fan. We all know what's coming with the Iron Bowl. That is their one opportunity to salvage their season, is to be able to take Alabama off the rails when Alabama has their sights set on making the playoffs and going even further than that. So, but anyways, what have you done for me lately? You played at a very high level. All right, now we're talking about some injuries. As you saw yesterday, I think it was both Bama Online, Charlie Potter, and Tony Tsoukalas, 2 really great team writers. Tony Tsoukalas for Rivals, Charlie Potter for Bama Online. Sure, you guys follow. They do a really great job. A ton of great team writers that cover the Crimson Tide. Boots on the ground. Came out with the fact that Q-Rob, according to their sources, is out for the season. Kimberly, thanks for becoming a member of Bama Football on YouTube. We appreciate you. So what does this mean for the overall room? Well, is it a loss on a scale of 1 to 10? Probably like a 7, to be honest. I mean, you're looking at Q-Rob, and these stats are updated, right, T?
Yes. All
right, so you're looking at Q-Rob, who I think leads the team in sacks with four sacks on the season and 5 quarterback pressures. He also is a veteran in that room. Now, on the back end of the season, you have seen a lot of opportunities from Quay. You see the snap count between Q-Rob and Quay pretty much the same. right? 246 snaps from Q-Rob and 252 snaps from Quay. So it's not like you have inexperience at this position, but now you need other guys to step up. What is interesting about this is Keanu Coe. Guy didn't travel with the team. Again, I have no idea why. Your guess is as good as mine. So you do have Quay, you do have Keanu, and you do have Yanzi Pierre. Yanzi Pierre, look, I don't know. And Noah Carter, he still has one of my favorite highlight tapes from this class of 2024. I don't know if he'll be ready to play at some point in time whenever his name's called. But all these guys get slid up in the rotation. So Yanzi Pierre, he'd be a guy I'd be curious to see where he is talent-wise and ready to play on the field, because, look, that next man up mentality, it starts right here on the back end of the season. How far do you want to go? I mean, a lot of this, and whoever wins the college football championship, is going to be who has depth, who has been able to develop depth. And this is important right here. Who has been able to keep that locker room focused when the players aren't getting your playing time? Just saying, all right? We get to at this point in time where some players might not have seen the field as much as they have wanted to. You're only one play away from being moved up on the depth chart. So it's so important. These coaches do a really good job about doing this, is making sure these players stay locked in, stay focused, continue to practice at the ultimate high level, because injuries during this point in time, they're going to happen. I mean, look, you have Cole Adams. He's done for the year. You have Q-Rob, done for the year. Keon Sabb. So who stepped up for Cole Adams? I guess you could say, I mean, was it Kobe Prentice? Because Kobe Prentice was the starter, and then I think Cole Adams overtook it. And now it looks like they've been putting Kendrick Law in the fold. Anyways, you see what I'm saying? Who stepped up at the safety position? Bray Hubbard. So who's going to step up now? Quay's playing, but is it going to be Keanu Coe or Yanzi Pierre? T, how are we looking on that veterans board?
I think we're good.
Is there more additions?
Yeah, there's more.
All right, let's go to that veterans board real quick, and then we'll come back. I'm going to take you guys' calls as well, and then at 11:30, you got the press conferences. So when you call in, I'll put the call-in line number at the bottom of the screen. Here is a updated look at our veterans board. T, can you read some new names out and kind of explain what we got going here?
Yeah, I think we ended at Tony Lipscomb last time. So, or do you want me to read them all of them?
Let's start at Jack and give out some birthday wishes, and then, because it's T's birthday as well. Yeah. But do the birthday cakes, and then let's start at Jack Allen.
Timothy Dowdle, Air Force, has a birthday today, and so does Coastal South Army. So happy birthday to you guys. And then continuing on, we have Jack Allen, Marine, Boris Fowler, Army, William Wilson, Navy, Andrew McDonald, Marine, Jimmy Williams, Navy, Tetelestai, I think, Army.
Nice job.
Mike G, Navy, James Lovell, Army, Colin Bellew, Air Force, and Bobby Carter.
Bobby Carter is the one I could have got.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me read out Bobby Carter. Okay, so what I would like to do on this, okay, is there any way that when we have time, I could do this too, but either list it by branch and alphabetize it?
Yes, we can do it.
I'm A-type. I'm A-type, and so I can do it later, but just the vision.
I see.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Marines. I don't know.
And if I missed you guys, please just write your name again.
Yeah. All right. J-Beck's asking if Kobe Prentice is hurt. I don't know. He doesn't play as much as I expected him to play. Last year, he had a really good season. Remember, all those wide receivers that are on the roster, all those guys could come back. Every single one of them. Everyone can come back besides, I would imagine, Tyler Booker's a absolutely first-round pick. CJ Dupree has to leave, and then Robbie Oots. Robbie Oots has been playing well. He has to leave as well. So only 3 guys from the offense really have to go anywhere. Everybody can come back. All right. I think we did see Kobe Prentice, though, in the back end of the game against LSU. I'm pretty sure we did. It was just like the later part of the game. All right. This is interesting, okay? So this is a recruiting flip watch, all right? People in the recruiting world talking about this. The big dogs out there, Steve Whitfong for On3. These screenshots are from Rivals.com, so I'm sure you already subscribed to your recruiting sites. There's a lot of people who do an amazing job. And it looks like look, Which is, you know what's crazy is signing day or early signing day is December 4th. It used to be February, the first Wednesday of February, which I think is still a date, but there's only like one guy that signs there. So this is what's happening in the world of recruiting. So the first one is absolutely major, 100% major. It's starting to look more and more that 5-star commitment, Caleb Cunningham, was the number 1 player in Mississippi and in a 5-star that I feel would play immediately here at Alabama, even as a freshman. It looks like he's trending to flip to Ole Miss. Okay. Lane Kiffin and their staff has done a really good job. And you know what? I think it could be because of what I just said a few minutes ago, is that every single player for Alabama at the receiver position could return this next season, right? I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of guys will. There's got to be at least 3 guys to transfer. T, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you think who transfers from Alabama to the receiver position? I think, I mean, I would say, yeah, that's tough. But I think do you think guys do transfer?
For sure.
100%. So,
yeah.
But guys could come back. Like even Jeremy Bernard, he could come back, which is wild to think about, but he could. Kendrick Law could come back. Kobe Prentice could come back. Ryan Williams, he could go to the NFL right now if he wanted to. Just kidding. Can you go if you're not 18? Yeah, the funniest thing this year is when they posted that graphic of Ryan Williams on the election day, and that he was the only one at practice because he couldn't go vote.
Because he couldn't vote.
Oh man, Timothy is giving you a shout out to you. So
yeah, I did my best. Sorry if I mispronounced it.
T recognizes T. All right. So this is serious with Caleb. Would it be a huge loss? I'm not going to be one of those guys and be like, oh, man, don't worry. We'll get someone better. There's someone. No, like this is a loss. You lose Caleb Cunningham. It's a loss. Like on the bright side, all the receivers could come back. Right. But Caleb Cunningham, if he's coming in, he's coming to play 1,000,000%. He's that talented. On the other side, you have Ivan Taylor. He flipped from Notre Dame to Michigan. Now, this is interesting. Alabama doesn't have a current committed prospect from the state of Florida. Ivan Taylor is very talented. I believe he's a 4-star safety out of West Orange, right? Winter Garden, Florida. And it looks like he's trending to flip to Bama. When could this happen? We don't know, but these are things that these are out there. Okay. So couple flips to watch, Caleb Cunningham and Ivan Taylor. I think they would both be significant in its own right. Like the biggest one would be Caleb Cunningham flipping to Ole Miss. And it would still be really big news if Ivan Taylor commits to Bama, 100%. So that's where we are in the recruiting world. Okay, I'm gonna take your calls here in just. Let me get through a couple slides, and then I'll take your calls and we can play some Monday morning quarterback. All right, so there's this website that basically went viral yesterday. Okay, it's called ballornothing.net. Okay, ballornothing.net. I went to go look at it this morning to get some updated calculations. It's a site developed by, I don't know, somebody like you or me. And they basically, they're so smart. They wrote this site to calculate the tiebreakers for the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10. So some genius out there put this program together. Guess what we did on the internet? We broke his site. You can't even see his site anymore because the traffic. We blew it up. So number one, like ESPN or whoever needs to hire this guy. That's how you get hired to like another level. You build something that blows up, like in a good way. So he put together this. All right. So B-ball or nothing that maybe check it later on when he gets more bandwidth or something like that. I don't know. How do sites go down? Is it it's traffic, right? It's traffic. I remember when I used to work for Rivals. It was I love working for Rivals, and I worked for On3 for a little bit too. But one thing that I loved about working for it was crazy. So I worked for Rivals, and on National Signing Day, I'm sure you all remember this, the biggest day of the year. This is when people would announce on like February 4th or whatever. The site would always crash. Like the biggest day, it would be like crashing on Christmas. Every single year, we would go down for like 2 hours, and the competing sites like 24/7 and On3 I don't know if On3 existed at that point in time, but they would always throw shade. They'd be like, we're up and running. It was so sad, but it happened to us every year. So poor guy. B-ball or nothing. We still love you, though, man. So go check out the site. Here are the current records for the SECs. You have Texas A&M, you have Tennessee, you have Texas, all in a three-way tie. I guess you could see Texas A&M and Tennessee are 1-2. Now, I think with Nico out with concussion, they're probably the heavy underdogs going into Athens to take on Georgia this coming week. Texas just improved to 4-1 under Steve Sarkisian. You have Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri, all with 2 losses in SEC play. A lot of football to go to. So what B-Ball or Nothing has done on its website, he's put together a calculation formula. Now, this is awesome. When you go to the website, you can click the games and the matchups about which teams win, and it kind of calculates the outcome of the SEC. I know it's a hot topic. So this graphic right here, the teams that are highlighted in red are the teams that are favored to win those particular matchups. Okay, so we expect Texas to beat Arkansas, LSU to beat Florida. Will there be some upsets? Probably so. But there's some pretty heavy favorites, in my opinion, throughout the next 3 weeks in the SEC. With that said, I mean, you know the parity. You click this button, calculate, at the end, and if everything goes right on this board, this is what would happen in terms of the teams playing for the SEC championship game. Okay, drum roll. It has Texas playing Alabama. Okay, so there still, I guess, is a shot for Alabama to make the SEC title game. Now, I put a poll inside the comment box. See, what does that poll say? So the poll is it better to play in the SEC title game or host a first-round game?
Think 68% think it's better to host a first round playoff game,
which is crazy. Okay, so what if you're out there and you're a little bit confused by this? So the way that the playoffs work this year, I totally agree with that. Is that the teams that win the Big Four conferences, Big 12, ACC, SEC, Big 10, they get to host a quarterfinal game, which means they don't have to play in the opening round. Now, with that said, here I'll explain it why Alabama fans don't want to play in for the SEC championship game. Let's just say this works out, and Alabama and Texas were to play. Okay, Alabama finishes out its season 6-2, Texas 7-1. They go play in the SEC championship. Okay, Alabama would be 10-2 overall at this point in time. Let's just say Texas beats Alabama in the SEC championship game. I honestly think that Alabama would be penalized for having 3 losses and they would miss the playoffs. So it would be like an extra game to have. It would be an extra playoff play-in game, which is really be unfair to the champ of this incredible conference, right? So what Alabama fans want and what makes more sense to me is, I think I'm on this poll as well, is I think that it's better for Alabama to just win out, be 10-2, and to have, for example, like LSU or somebody else play in the SEC championship game. Because if you look to the ESPN playoff predictor right now, this is what it looks like as of this morning. It has Alabama with a 76% chance to make the playoffs. And how I got to this point is if you go to this website, the ESPN playoff predictor, and you punch in scenarios. Now, I punched in Alabama finishes out 10-2, and they don't make the SEC title game. So they finish out 10-2, and they're just an at-large team from the SEC. It has them, the top box, with a 99% chance to make the playoffs. 99%. And then the other one, where they obviously wouldn't make a first-round bye because they didn't win the SEC, but they would have a 68% chance to host a first-round game and only a 32% chance to be a visitor in the first round. So the first round teams that host are seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the teams that are on the road are 9 through 12. So in this scenario, and this was created by ESPN, it actually had Alabama winning this simulation, but it would have Alabama on the left hosting Notre Dame. You imagine how awesome that would be?
Oh my gosh.
That like the ratings would be great, right? From watching Alabama and Notre Dame once again. Alabama beat the brakes off Notre Dame, and Notre Dame would be, you know what? Alabama would beat Notre Dame here, and guess what would happen next year? Notre Dame would be ranked like preseason number 1.
Of course.
Here comes Notre Dame. It happens all the time. And you know what's crazy is sometimes my good buddy Mike Singer, he runs the Notre Dame YouTube channel. He used to work for me when I covered Colorado. Their YouTube channel is banging because Notre Dame believes that they're going to win the championship this year, which is fine. But they haven't played anybody.
They're delusional. Those fans
thank you. Yes. All right.
Sorry.
Continue to wish on a star. And then you have Boise State, which I don't agree with. And then you have, on the other side, Miami and Texas. So the reason they still have Miami here is Miami could still win the ACC. So now we're looking at the ACC standings. I appreciate you guys being here, all 308 of you. This is Veterans Day. We're going to show our Veterans board. So don't forget to list your name in the branch, and we'll get you on our Veterans board. I'll show you that after this slide. So this is how the ACC looks this morning. And here in a second, I'll take your guys' calls. We can play Monday morning quarterback going up to 11:30 when Coach Kalen Deboer and his staff get to the podium. We'll carry that right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So here's a look to the ACC, which is interesting because Clemson, SMU, and Miami, out of the weirdest year, they do not play each other on the schedule. So you have to go to a tiebreaker formula for this conference as well. And I think how it shakes out is if SMU can hang on and finish undefeated, I think it would be SMU and Miami playing for the ACC championship game. That's why in this other graphic right here, it has Miami still as a number 2 seed. Can you imagine SMU just jumping into the ACC and just going undefeated in their first year? Now, their only loss is to BYU. All right, we're going to look at the Big 12 conference right now. So BYU, this is, look, where would these teams fit in, or even these teams, in the SEC? And I know, look, there's a lot of people that are excited about, I guess, Miami's season, but we knew that it was just a matter of time until the grass basketball would catch up with them. They were trailing against Louisville. They were trailing against Duke, right? They were trailing against Cal. And they were trailing against Virginia Tech, which didn't even make this graphic. Now, here's the Big 12. One of these teams is going to get into the playoffs as well. I was thinking about this yesterday. You know what's crazy? Look, I'm kind of low-key hoping for this just because, from the ratings perspective, okay? There is a chance, it's kind of far out there, but that Colorado wins the Big 12, Coach Prime, okay? And they get the number 4 spot. Alabama finishes 10-2. They're an at-large from the SEC. Alabama goes to number 5. Colorado goes to number 4. Colorado would host a game in Boulder. Alabama would face, number 12 Boise. They beat Boise. Alabama is going to Boulder, and you have Kalen Deboer playing Coach Prime. Can you imagine the ratings for that?
Yeah, that would be a good game.
That would be a good game. It could be a good Christmas for us. Yeah, in terms of the ratings. So that's kind of like low-key what I'm going for. And to be honest, there's probably some percentages on the fact that Colorado could win the Big 12. Now, Colorado, I looked at their schedule. They play Utah in Boulder. You saw Utah play BYU really close. In fact, Utah's AD, I'm sure you saw this as well. He was talking about that BYU and the officials stole the game from Utah. He was fined $40,000 yesterday, which is crazy. And then they take on Colorado. Then they take on Kansas. And then they play Oklahoma State. So, look, there is a chance that Colorado and BYU meet for the championship game, and there is a chance that Colorado wins. And if they win the Big 12, there will be a media circus around Coach Prime, and they will get a top 4 seed, period. They are playing some pretty good football, right? And they have some very talented players. I mean, if you haven't seen Travis Hunter play this year, I mean, it's great. And so their quarterback's really good too, Coach Sanders' son, Shadori. Here's a look at the Big Ten. You have Indiana and Oregon tied at the number 1 spot. I agree, Justin. Colorado hasn't played anyone, 100%. And that's why I don't think that all conferences should get a bye. But they had to be able to figure something out so we can move to the 12 team, right? All right, Indiana 7-0, Oregon 7-0, and Ohio State 5-1, 8-1 overall in the season. Now, on the 23rd of November, you have Indiana taking on Ohio State. I ask this every day on the show. Is there anybody inside the comment box that thinks Indiana will beat Ohio State? I'm scared to even poll it. Can we poll it? T, we'll end this other poll. And what were the results? What does the data say?
So 66% said host a first round playoff game.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I agree with that.
What if I told you at the beginning of the season that we would be hoping that they don't make the SEC title game? I think, you know what, when we looked at it at the beginning of the season, I think that might have been a possibility.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it makes sense.
All right, so here's another poll. This will be a quick poll. But who wins, Indiana or Ohio State? T's going to put the poll up now. I really can't see Indiana winning this game. Indiana hasn't played a team in the top 25 this year. Their quarterback is really good. They do have some good skill position players. Ohio State, a little bit more battle-tested. Went on the road and lost to Oregon. Went on the road and beat Penn State. Ohio State has guys. I mean, their receiving core, they're legit. Their running back's legit. The quarterback, he's not bad. Defense, pretty good. The only thing with Ryan Day is he doesn't win big games. I don't think the game against Penn State was a big game, in my opinion. What is the quick 68? Yeah, I know. I was even scared to put the poll up because I think it might be a runaway. And I would imagine, I think the game might be in Indiana as well, so I'm going to handicap it at like Ohio State 8.5. That's what I'd say. I could see Ohio State maybe winning by 10 to 14. And the other thing is, I mean, right now, the way that the AP rankings shake out, when you look at the rankings, I think that the 4 out of the top 5 are from the Big Ten. I think you have Oregon, you have Ohio State, you have Indiana, and you have Penn State. Now, I think there's 2 pretenders, and I think there's 2 contenders. I think Ohio State and Oregon probably on that contender side, and I think the pretenders are Indiana and Penn State. I was not impressed. I have not been impressed with Penn State at all. I haven't been. And that's another coach that doesn't win big games. Most everybody taking Ohio State. So here's a look at the bracket from last Tuesday. Now, we talked about the AP rankings yesterday, the updated rankings for this next batch of rankings will be updated here on Tuesday night, right? The 12th. I would imagine that there's going to be a lot of movement, clearly, with Miami losing and with Georgia losing. So I think you could probably add it. You would have Oregon at 1. And I'm talking like the way I'm looking at it is I'm seeding the teams based off where they'd be in the bracket, not like ranking the teams. I know it gets confusing. So just stay with me here. On the right side, keep Oregon there. Keep BYU, I guess, actually move BYU to number 3 and put SMU, who's now the number 1 in the ACC, at 3, which is crazy. Think about this. Oregon 1, number 2 would be Texas, number 3 SMU, and number 4 BYU for the play. That's crazy. So right now you could theoretically have BYU and SMU at that 3 and 4 spot because BYU beat SMU and SMU is an ACC champ right now, at least in the driver's seat. That is wild. So to recap, put Oregon at 1, 2 Texas, 3 BYU, and 4 SMU. I think that's how it'll look. Unless they go off the fact that Texas A&M has played more games, or Tennessee, those 2 teams could be also in the SEC title run. But there's a 3-way tie right now in the SEC. It's crazy, I know. Then I think you go Ohio State, right? That's probably the next best team off the board. And then I would probably put, Bama was 11 last week. I would probably go, I guess if you have to go, considering Tennessee beat Bama, you probably go Tennessee at 6. And then you go Bama at 7. or maybe you go Indiana at 7, Bama at 8. That's probably how it'll look. So I would imagine Bama at 8 because they're going to reward Indiana for continuing to be undefeated. But right here you have Tennessee, who is ranked higher than Indiana with a loss. So maybe they go Ohio State at 5 and then Tennessee at 6. And then how about Bama above Indiana? Right? Bama above Indiana. Anyways, there's going to be a lot of movement with this playoff bracket, and we'll break it down when the rankings come out. That's tomorrow night. That is Tuesday night. So tonight you're watching Monday Night Football, and you're watching the Alabama basketball game, and then Tuesday night you got playoff rankings. Right? There's a lot of football. T, how you feeling?
Great.
A lot of football?
Love it.
Bobby Carter's became a new fan funder. Can you hear the crowd?
Yeah.
Lynn, what's up? All right, let's take a look at the veterans board, and then we'll take some calls. And I'll take calls up to 11:30 before we get Nick Sheridan, Kane Womack up in the house. If you could hit this little thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. It goes a long way. Super chats greatly appreciated as well. Or becoming fan funders, we always appreciate you guys' support right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Here's a look at the veterans board. I'm going to show this in full screen. Turn down the crowd. T, one more time. Do you want to just quickly read these out?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, let's go for the whole bang, and then we'll fire up the call-in line.
Okay. We have John Delaney, Army. Ephraim, Army. Sailor Camp, Navy. Timothy Dowdle, Air Force, and happy birthday. Army 3275, Army with a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. Amazing. Coastal South, Army, and a birthday. Tony Lipscomb, Army. Jack Allen, Marine. Boris Fowler, Army. William Wilson, Navy. Andrew McDonald, Marine. Jimmy Williams, Navy. Ted Alesti, Army. Mike G, Navy. James Lovell, Army. Colin Bellew, Air Force. Bobby Carter, Marine. Ricky Smith, Army. CJ Jackson, Navy. Jimmy Labby,
Sure.
Army. Joseph Knapp, Army. Big Bid, Army. And Jacob Jekyll's, Marine.
Jacob Jekyll's, Marine. What's up? We appreciate you
I'm
guys.
sorry if I butchered any of
No,
those.
thank you so much. Great job, T. That's our veterans board, and that's going to stay. That's going to be a part of our show. So we'll probably remove like the Veterans Day tag on the right, but this will be our veterans board. And my dream is to fill this board up so where the names are so small, you know, that you have to zoom in on the names. So we got plenty of names, and we're going to we'll continue to update this board throughout the season. But anyways, we understand freedom isn't free. Thank you so much. Remember, put your name inside the comment box. If you're not on here, if we missed you, continue to add your name, and we'll put you on the board. Okay, next up, we got, let's do the call-in line. And we got Chris from New Jersey as the leadoff, followed by Mike and Austin. We got our big bats to lead off on the lineup. Chris from New Jersey, you're up next in 3, 2, 1. Chris, what's up, man? Welcome on to the show.
Kyle, happy Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to say thank you to all the veterans. And, Kyle, I don't say thank you for your service. That's not enough. I always say thank you for the freedom. That's how powerful these vets are. And thank you all for your service. So, all right. Oh, and also happy birthday, T. My wife's birthday is in a week from now. So happy birthday to you both.
Oh, thank you.
And my best friend, John Delaney, went to West Point. I put him on there. So thank you for recognizing him.
Absolutely, man.
All
Absolutely.
right, Kyle.
Yeah.
So you and I, we spoke on Thursday or Friday or Wednesday, and we said this was the regular season Super Bowl, and it was all about coaching. And I'll have to say this. I couldn't be happier. Womack, who we buried for weeks and weeks, has stepped up his game. Outstanding job. And then when we talked about the offense, we said it was Sheridan / Deboer. What a great game plan. By the way, that's not a bad. I know that we get a little zealous in the fan base. That's a very good football team, and we went in there and battered them. So, a couple things about Sheridan and Deboer, but Sheridan, he was worked up in the press up in the coaching box, and when he came down on the field, Did you see the hug between him and Deboer?
Yeah.
But more so, the hug between him and Jalen Milro. And let me tell you something. You could tell. I almost feel guilty about beating him as badly as we did, because Jalen Milro clearly loves Sheridan and wants to do nothing but play for him. And I know he's kind of demure when he makes these the press interviews, but outstanding job, great game plan, great adjustments in the second half. I mean, I have nothing but positive things to say about the coaching staff. Now, I got a couple things, so anybody thinks I'm too long-winded, sorry. One is, did you see? Obviously, I've said over and over again, Booker is my favorite player.
Yeah.
I said I went to the mattresses with Milro, so he's our guy. I went to the mattresses. He played great. I mean, I think he's going to be in New York he's not going to win it, but he's going to be at least New York. He'll get a free trip up with his family to New York, and he'll at least be sitting in there when they announce the Heisman, which is nice. At least it's a free trip. But Malachi Moore did. I hope everybody saw that piece where Malachi Moore befriended this little girl who was ill, and actually brought her and her family to his official visit with his mom. Malachi Moore is just a class act. That just puts a smile on my face that we have players like that. And you and I have said it. He's like the big brother of the defense. I hope after a really successful NFL career, he becomes a coach, because he is that kind of motivator and that kind of just class act great person. And a little segue into that is Bray Hubbard. He is just terrific. And, obviously Malachi and Deontay Lawson both spoke highly of him in their interviews. But did you see after he got the interview, who was right on him, hugging and congratulating him? Malachi and Lawson. So, and they're those two are in my opinion, the captains of the defense. So, I mean, just fantastic, happy. Now I want to just real quick touch base on the not making the SEC game. To me, is the best scenario for us for several reasons. One is I don't want to have a third loss just in case. I'm not saying we would lose, but we also get another week. We know when our coaches get a chance to prepare. We are Alabama's a very, very difficult team to beat. And then we're banged up all over the place. Another little time to rest, which would probably help. So I'm for that. Now I have a question for you and T, Kyle. So listen, we battered Womack, and this guy stepped up his game. We battered Sheridan Deboer. You want us to batter you two so you get like 300,000 subscribers? Just kidding. So, listen, I'm very happy. I'm very happy about the win. I think I've said it. I'm going to keep on saying it in the chat, that just win, baby, win. I think win out, you're in. I think once you get in, Bama can beat anybody in there, and who knows? So, listen, again, great job. Thank you for what you guys do. I want to thank all the veterans, and God bless them, and God bless their families. God bless America. Roll Tide, brother.
All right, appreciate you. Thanks for calling in, Chris. Good call. All right, Chris out in New Jersey. We go back to the phone lines. We got Mike in Austin. Mike, what's up, man? Appreciate you calling in. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you. Hey, thank you for calling out all the veterans. I'm a veteran myself, and I certainly appreciate that. I graduated from B.C. Rain High School in Mobile, and 1 week later, I was in Montgomery, headed up to Great Lakes, and did 4 years on a submarine. So thank you for acknowledging all the veterans out there, Kyle. That means a lot to all of us. I certainly appreciate that. I speak for all of us, so thank you very much, and the missus there as well. Thank y'all so much.
You know what, Mike? We went out to dinner the other night, and I was watching. We were eating, and I was watching I think it was right because you brought up, because you said the submarine. So first of all, thank you for your service. Do we have Mike on the board, T? Yeah, Mike G. Okay.
Mike G.
Okay,
thank you.
And Patriot Life in with the super chat. It was interesting though. I was watching, and I think this was right. It was USS New Jersey. it was this gigantic submarine. I think it was of the Ohio class. I'm not kidding you. This submarine was gigantic. I mean, it was the biggest submarine I've ever seen. Anyways, I sometimes I watch documentaries on submarines. That's why I say.
But did I get that right? Is he Navy? Are
That's
you Navy?
right, Kyle.
Okay.
Navy. Okay, yeah. So
I'm sorry, go ahead, T.
Did I get that right? Are you Navy? Because you said submarine.
That's Navy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
I didn't know
submarines
if you
are
could be
definitely
Marine.
Navy. But Kyle, yes, on that said, there are two different kind of submarines. Like you said, there's ballistic missile submarines, like you're talking about, the Ohio class, that shoots the big missiles, and then there's fast attack submarines, like I was on, which is a smaller submarine that does more strategic missions.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can tell you all about that stuff, man. But just thank you so much for recognizing that, dude. But, hey, man, on to our beloved Crimson Tide, right? It was an awesome victory. I don't think Saban has ever beat LSU like that, or that I can remember anyway. And, Kyle, kind of like I've been mentioning throughout the year, this Bama team is so explosive that if we play like this, we're never going to be beat. Like we played in the first half of the Georgia game, some of this LSU game, when they really get clicking, I see what makes Deboer such a great coach, and just sometimes this explosiveness of this team just blows me away. But that was an excellent victory. And I'll remind everybody, not only was that, but the victory before with Missouri was a 30-0 shutout. So we control our own destiny, and we're definitely just heading in the right direction, Kyle. We got to stay positive and got to stay focused every week, even on OU and Auburn coming up, that we got to definitely stay focused on these games, because every game's a trap game, Kyle.
Yep.
And, Kyle, you know one thing, I've also mentioned to you this before, buddy. I think that it's such an unlevel playing field between the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, I'm not going to say they play bad football, because the Big Ten, they play good football, but I just think the week-to-week grind in the SEC is so much more difficult. And if Oregon, Miami, Indiana, any of them were in the SEC, they would have 2 losses, just like Georgia, like Bama, just like all the rest of us. That's kind of how I feel like that, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things that continues to stand out to me is the fact that Indiana is 10-0 and they haven't played a top 25 team this year. I mean, in BYU, they're undefeated after their best win being against SMU. Clearly, the conferences are not the same, and I think there's going to be one SEC team that does get left out that's probably deserving to make the playoffs. So basically, the SEC, you're already in the playoffs. Which is, I mean, the college football playoffs, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me because all of the conferences are not the same. I mean, the SEC is the premier league, and then you have all these other conferences that are lower tier. So I think one of the SEC teams will be left out, and I think that'll probably be the case every single year going forward. Anything else, Mike?
Yeah, just to point out what you're talking about there, Kyle, the Indiana Hoosiers, they put up 250 about total yards against Michigan and won. They put up 250 total yards and won. You know what that gets you in the SEC? That gets you beat 40-0. You put up 250 total yards. It just blows me away. But anyway, Kyle, that's it. Stay strong, brother. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good luck. God bless, man. Y'all take care.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, Mike calling in from Austin. We got a 910 up next. We'll go right to it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, what's up, Kyle? This is Christian.
Christian, what's up, Christian? Christian in from California, man. What's up, man? I appreciate you joining the show. Welcome on in, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I just want to first off say, hey, happy Veterans Day to, all of the all the veterans out there, and y'all have done so much for us.
Absolutely, man. But 100% agree, man. Welcome to the show. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, obviously you watched the game, and, I can't really ask for much more from a score like that in Baton Rouge and things like that. But it really has nothing to do, like what I'm calling it has really nothing to do with the game in per se, just because we did what we needed to do. Obviously, we got to keep winning out. Just because we beat LSU doesn't mean one of these teams can't sneak up on us and give us a scare. So we got to stay. Alabama has to definitely stay with the program, keep getting everything the way that they were doing before. But it's going to be more of my 2 points that I'm about to bring up are going to be more with the Big 12 or the Big Ten, and then Alabama in the playoffs. The first thing that I'm not really sold on a lot of these Big Ten teams besides Oregon, which is weird considering the fact that Oregon is they're predominantly a Pac-12 team, last year, and everybody's saying the Big 12 or the Big 10 is like this big old great super conference, but man, Oregon is running through everybody like it ain't nothing. And the number one team that was supposed to be getting challenged for it, which is Ohio State, they played nothing but cupcakes the whole entire year. They played Oregon, lost to Oregon, played a Penn State team that I think is a fraud, shouldn't be ranked as high, and now they're about to play an Indiana team that is ranked super high to beef up their resume. And I just don't think that that's something that we should look at and be like, well, Ohio State deserves to be ranked where they're at. I don't think they're the number 2 team in the country. I think Texas is probably the number 2 team in the country because they play maybe not as hard of a schedule as Ohio State if you look at the rankings, but just the week-to-week basis of teams that they play, it's not much different from Ohio State. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I was when I was looking at it on the line with Christian calling in from California, I was listening, and I have a graphic up right now, like the contenders and pretenders. And I think it's easy for me to point out 5 and 5. Oregon, I would imagine, I feel they are a contender. Ohio State too, Texas, Bama. And the fifth one, I was thinking Georgia, and I think I said Georgia yesterday. But then somebody pointed out there, like, really, Kyle, with Carson Beck playing like he's playing? The guy's thrown like 13 interceptions in the last 4 games or something. So I don't know. I mean, in Ole Miss, I'm not listing them as a real contender. Lane Kiffin isn't known for winning consecutive big games, right? And we haven't really seen him in that big game atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe Ole Miss, but the pretenders are easy. Indiana, Penn State, right? There's 2 of them. Tennessee, I know they beat Bama head-to-head. I just don't think that they have the offense, to really string together, playoff-type wins. Boise State not buying it. Notre Dame, pretender. Miami, clearly a pretender. So I don't know who that 5th contender is, but, yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, you look at kind of the Big Ten led by a former Pac-10 team, it does kind of raise eyebrows. Same thing when you look at the ACC, considering that SMU just hopped in, and they're undefeated, which is crazy. Continue, Christian. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of my main points is the fact that, and everybody can look and be like, oh, well, Texas is leading the SEC right now. Texas has one of the easiest schedules I've seen in the SEC. They somehow missed Alabama. They missed LSU. They missed Ole Miss. So you see what I'm saying? They're not playing. They missed Tennessee too. So they're missing a lot of the top ranked teams that are in the SEC. And Oregon, they played Ohio State, you know what I'm saying? So I do feel like there's a little bit of cherry picking when it comes to scheduling in that Big Ten, just to kind of make the teams that are already up top kind of look better than what they already are. And I think this weekend, depending on how bad Indiana loses, because I don't have them having any shot at winning, depending on how bad they lose, I think that one loss should show them, hey, if they lose by 45 or 35, they shouldn't be nowhere inside the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kind of something similar to what happened to Miami too. I mean, you look to where Miami is today within the the top 25. I mean, they certainly got bumped down for losing to Georgia Tech, as they should. I mean, and it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? And that's why we continue to look at how the way Bama has played over the last 2 games. I think you're going to hit on that real quick, Christian, before you bounce out. What's your take on the way Alabama has played in these last couple of games? Go ahead.
I mean, I think the defense has been spectacular in the last couple of games. I think that's good. I think you need to continue to do that because I think they're starting to realize where they fit in the scheme in the 4-2-5, which is really good for Alabama because now they're built to not just stop the run, but now they can stop the pass and have a little bit more people that are athletic in pass coverage and then run support. And then offensively, man, just keep running the ball. Eventually, you're going to keep popping one. Also, I don't know if y'all saw, but that boy Welcome Formby on that last touchdown, he had a spectacular block. All right? And then the only other thing I have to say is, in Alabama's terms of the college football playoffs, the SEC championship game is basically do you want to play your first game now, or do you want to play it later? That's basically all it is. Because you can play your way. You can play the SEC championship game, get the first round bye, or you can wait a week and then play in the first round at home. I think it'd be more beneficial for them to play at home.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's hope they don't make the championship game. But, that's just my take on it.
All right. I appreciate the call, Christian. Take it easy, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yep, for sure, Kyle.
All right. That was Christian with the call. Phone line is open, 205-850-1994. T, we got some super chats coming in.
Yeah, I see that. Patriot Life and Lynn Shaneyfeld. Hang on, let me see.
Patriot Life, appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
go ahead, T.
He says, everyone have a great Monday, and thanks again to the veterans and Ellis, who still sucks. And then Lynn says, Kalen Deboer is 33-2 as head coach in November and 9-0 as a Power 4 head coach in the month of November. Seeing the stadium emptying out in the third quarter was priceless. Salute to all who have served. Freedom is not free.
Absolutely, yeah. And I have this graphic right here, and I think Patriot Life had another super chat up top that we missed. But yeah, we appreciate you, Patriot Life. Always, Patriot Life has been taking care. He's been building the fan community for, I don't know, for the last 6-7 months. We appreciate you, Patriot Life. Thank you so much, man. Good avatar as usual. And then Lynn Shaneyfield in with the 25 spot. I mean, you look to what Coach Kalen Deboer has done this season in a highly stressful environment, taking over for Coach Saban and everything else. He's maintained an even kill, and I thought that's probably something that AD Greg Burns saw in Coach Kalen Deboer was, does this guy have the right mannerisms, and does he have the right emotional stability to be able to step in and coach in this season? And maybe, Greg Byrne knew that the college football season was going to be this up and down and saw that, Coach Kalen Deboer, I guess the best word would be steadfast, right? Be able to maintain, to be how he's been this season. My goodness. And then also Lynn hits on the fact that the stadium emptying out. What were they emptying? Was it like the third quarter that they were leaving? Right. It was, yeah. When was it when they were throwing water bottles and stuff?
Yeah, I think that was the third quarter.
Yeah, they were cooked. That's wild.
At their own cheerleaders.
Yeah, J-Bake is saying 16-3 versus top 25 teams, which is just, look, and you're going to need that because this SEC absolutely comes with it. We got a 404 up next, and then at 11:30, we'll cut to the press conferences. Nick Sheridan, Kane Womack, and Coach Kalen Deboer. Kalen Deboer will be at 12, so we'll carry that right here on the screen, on the stream. So we appreciate you guys being here. 404, you're up next. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the show. You're online with Kyle Henderson, who I'm online with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? It's E-Man from Atlanta.
You're a little bit muffled. Try one more time.
What's up, Kyle? It's E-Man from Atlanta.
What's up, E-Man? It's been a long time, man. I appreciate you calling in. Welcome, E-Man from Atlanta. Come with it, man. Appreciate you.
I saw my notification late. I was waiting on you to come in today. What prompts you got today, Kyle? I just called in. I didn't even think I was gonna be able to get through, bro.
So today, what we're hitting on, first of all, so we got, the Veterans Day that is cooking, right? We're honoring our vets.
Right.
We're talking about this defense. I have a graphic showing up about Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson. E-Man, you love to break it down. Can you, maybe let's start there with the defensive play, because against Missouri, we knew that they were going to probably get a shutout, but talk about the defense. What stood out to you against LSU? Because the way that Jahad Campbell, Deontay Lawson, I'll even throw in Bray Hubbard in there, the way that those guys played absolutely stood out to me. Go ahead, E-Man from Atlanta, talking about the defense. Go ahead, man.
Well, first of all, happy Veterans Day to everybody who served, all those vets. We appreciate everything. Appreciate everything you do for the country. You guys deserve a day of recognition. But yeah, defense, to be honest, I kind of been high on the defense all year. I've been seeing good things as far as them flying around to the ball a lot. Like you said, we got Lawson, we got Campbell, and we got Malachi Moore too. We got a good couple guys who's some real dudes on the defensive side of the ball. I think the one thing that's been making, I will say this, they brought a stat up. I think I saw a stat today or maybe yesterday that said that within the last 5 games, I believe it said 4 or 5 games, that we caused 3 turnovers. And that's crazy because because of our record, and I think because we lost some early games, you don't look at us as a defensive team.
Yeah.
But I think we got a sneaky good defense that's kind of been solid aside from some big plays at timely. You know what I'm saying? That kind of cost us in the time of what a game was at the time. But I think I like the defense, man. We've got some good guys on the defense. They flying around to the ball. Yesterday, for some reason, it looked like a Saban-led team. It looked like a Saban coach defense yesterday. Like, not in the fact like that you can't do anything on them, but like you can't score on them. Like yesterday, it looked pretty apparent. Like, oh, they ain't about to score. They ain't about to score on the defense. In the end, they only scored because we left our backups in, and they left their starters in. So they did kind of sneak one in on the end. With a, you know what I'm saying, a good amount of pushback from that second team, but that's why they scored yesterday. But if we would have left our starters in, they wouldn't have scored. They would have been virtually shut out without the, you know what I'm saying, without the field goal. They would have been virtually shut out too. So defense looked good yesterday. I mean, I will say one thing, Kyle. What do we think about? Okay, we also know Q Robinson is out. We know Q. We know we lost him, and now we don't have a real certain future, unless I haven't heard anything injury report wise about Devontae Smith. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, I saw so for the injury report right now, as E-Man on from Atlanta is saying Q-Rob looks like he's out for the season. That was broken by the team reporters yesterday with the upper arm or arm injury. Devontae Smith looks like he was hobbling. We didn't get an update on him just yet. Coach Kalen Deboer probably provided injury report here at 12 p.m. Central Time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We'll carry that press conference here. You also have, a wide receiver, Jalen Hell, who we don't really have an update on. He's been out for the entire year. Cole Adams out for the season with I think leg and arm injury, and then you have Keon Sabb out with a foot injury, and I don't know. They didn't really give a timeline on Keon Sabb, but one of the guys who's been stepping up in his place has been Bray Hubbard, kind of that next man mentality. But when I look to Q-Rob out for the season with the arm injury, you look to Quay, you look to Keanu Coate, Yanzi Pierre. Interesting to note that Keanu Coate did not travel with the team to LSU. I have no idea what that means. Your guess is as good as mine. There was a rumor that his family had sent him a text. Someone posted this on, this is in the rumor mill, that his family sent Keanu Coate a text and was like, things are going to work out for you way down the road. To be honest, it just seems like a rumor to me. Unless we hear it from Coach Kalen Deboer, I wouldn't buy into it. So, I mean, someone even said that Coach Kalen Deboer was having a kid and that Jalen Milro was having a kid and that Ryan Williams was having a kid. Did you see this? They called into the Hey Coach show.
I did talking about Jalen Milro having a kid.
I know.
Talking about Jalen Milro girls.
Yeah, and that was having twins and then someone, Pee Wee, called and was like, hey, Coach, congratulations on welcoming your child. The coach is like, yo, he's like, that's not true. So unless you hear it from Coach Kalen Deboer, I just put it in the rumor mill in terms of Keanu Coate. But what we do know is that he didn't travel with the team. That's it. So anything else that you want to hit on, E-Man, before I move to my next caller?
We back, man. I'm going to say it now. It's a hot take, but I feel like we back.
Oh, I love it.
2 solid weeks.
Yeah.
We had 2 solid weeks of what looks like good coaching, good execution. It looked like they settling in at the right time, kind of just like last year. If they could settle in right now and play their best football, I mean, I think we can take you know what I'm saying, we might have a chance at the Natty for real. I'm not really sure how our chances looking for the SEC. We still need some chaos. We need some people to lose, but I think we definitely went out for the rest of the year. And if we in the playoffs, like I said, it's anybody game in the playoffs. So, bro, I think we looking at like a long run right now.
I appreciate it, E-Man. Good to hear from you, man. I'm glad you're doing well, man. Take it easy, bro.
For sure, bro. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you, man. As my good buddy E-Man calling out. We got a 478 at 205. I'll try to squeeze you guys in before 11:30. If you call during that 11:30 window and I break, I'll just politely tell you that we got a cut. So just know it's coming, but you can still keep calling in. I'll take them in as they come. But maybe keep your points shorter so we can get some call volume in over these next 10 minutes. 478, you're up next. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Kyle, what's going on?
Yeah,
bro?
who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Bubbalicious from Bon Air, Georgia, man. You doing all right?
What's up, man? Welcome to the show, Bubbalicious. Go ahead, man. Come on in.
Shout out to all the veterans today. And I wanted to say congratulations to you too. I heard you having a baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm having the baby. It's not even T. It's me. I'm having the baby. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, Bubba.
Hey, I'm even having babies down here in Bon Air, baby. Everybody's having a baby.
Yeah, everybody's having a baby, man. Yeah, appreciate it, Bubbalicious. Good stuff, man. We appreciate you being here, man. So look, we got a bunch of topics on the board, man. But go ahead and come with it, man. I appreciate you joining the show.
I was just mainly calling in for the shout out for the veterans. Hell of a game this weekend, man. Seems like the defense is starting to gel. They're really starting to gel. I also heard a rumor on Mincy maybe swapping to safety. I want to know if you heard anything about that.
Yeah, I think Coach Kalen Deboer kind of alluded to some guys that could be working at some different positions down the road. I would imagine that Zay Mincy could fit that safety role. He is a bigger body type player, so I wouldn't be mad about Zay Mincy getting some reps at safety, right? He's a big dude. I think he's probably the biggest corner that Alabama has right now, maybe similar size to Bray, right? So getting him up to mix. And then I wouldn't be mad if we even saw a little bit of Jalen Mbakwe at that safety position. He played safety in high school. The guy has battled. He allowed that touchdown against LSU, but you're starting to see a lot of growth from Jalen Mbakwe. So I think when you look to cross-training or players that could play different positions, I would imagine that Jalen Mbakwe and Zay Mincy could play that safety position for sure.
Zimbabwe, all he's got to do is a little bit more fine-tuning, a little bit more coaching, because he had that receiver on lock. He just didn't look back.
Yeah.
He just didn't look back right at the last minute, or he'd had an INT.
100%. Yeah, I exactly agree. I mean, I was cutting my instant reaction when they were throwing that pass, and you're right. The way that Mbakwe had him, he was one-on-one just right there with him. If he would have turned his head around and just kind of hit the ball, it would have been dumb. But anyways, he's growing, and Jalen Mbakwe is that guy. I mean, he's a very fantastic addition to this team, 100%. He's one of the – if Ryan Williams is the number one freshman, Jalen Mbakwe might be number two right after him. And it's good to see him getting a lot of playing time for sure.
And one more thing before I let you go.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on Bama Hater today, man.
Yeah, I know. We're waiting for him to call in. Man, so Bama Hater, to set the stage, is a Miami fan. So he called in last week and was pumping up Miami, and I asked him where he would be in the SEC. And I'm serious. Like, I have no idea where Miami would be in the SEC. Like, and if you look to all the teams in that, like, let me ask you this. Would Miami beat South Carolina?
No.
Thank you. Okay. Like, they wouldn't. I don't need, they wouldn't.
Vanderbilt would have them on the ropes right now, man.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I know. I agree with that. So, good call, Bubbalicious. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us on the back end of the call-in show.
Have a good one, baby.
All right, man. Take it easy. Someone asked about the Pro Football Focus grades. I'll throw them up. Ronnie Jobs, what's up, man? I'll take this call, and then I'll try to get the Pro Football Focus grades in. If I don't do that, I'll do it tomorrow. Jalen Milro graded out 91.4, and then the highest graded players on the defensive side were, to no surprise, it was Jahad Campbell and then Bray Hubbard. So that's kind of the skinny on the Pro Football Focus, but maybe we'll do that on Tuesday. Oh, and then heads up, we got 205-256-601. I'll try to get you guys in as fast as I can. But heads up, Thursday through Sunday, I'll be in New Mexico for my grandfather's services. My grandfather passed away peacefully a couple weeks ago. We're having the services in Clayton, New Mexico, little ranching community up in the northeast corner of New Mexico, bordering Oklahoma and Texas. You ever been to Dalhart? You heard of Tex Line? You heard of Guyman, Oklahoma? Up in that area. So be out of town from Thursday to Sunday. I will have my show during that point in time. I'll just be in a different format. So kind of a heads up on that. All right, we go back to the phone lines. We got a few more minutes before 11:30 when the press conferences start. 2:05, you're up next. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, hey, this is Chris Birmingham, man.
Chris, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining the show. Welcome on in, man. Come with it.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you guys are honoring the vets, first of all. I'm a vet myself. I'm the Army vet.
Did we get you? First of all, Chris, thanks for your service. Did we get you on the board right here? Did we add you, Chris, from Birmingham?
Oh, nah, man. I think I missed it. Yeah, but it's all good, man.
Okay, what was it? I'm sorry. Was it Army, Navy, Marines?
Yeah.
Oh, Army? Okay.
Army.
Okay, we got
Yeah.
do Chris Beham Army. Okay, we'll get it in. Thank you for your service, Chris. I appreciate that, man. We really understand what you did for this great country, so we appreciate you. So, anyways, come with it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just a few things here. I know you got a lot of stuff going on and the press conference coming up, but man, that game was great, man. I think Damani Jackson. I just want to go back, man, and just redact what I said about this guy like early on in the season. And sometimes people just need time, but man, he is playing lights out, man. I think he's played lights out since the last few games, actually, man. And he is a great cornerback, bro. The next thing I was going to say, man, is Bray Hubbard, man. I called Bray Hubbard, man, since the first game. I was like, man, this guy is crazy, man. Keon South doing this thing, but Bray Hubbard, this guy is physical, man. He looks like he's a really good at the Husky, like the corner / safety position. That guy, I had high hopes for him, man, early on. So, yeah, man, and he, another interception he got. I think it was the third quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter. And lastly, man, I think Mbakwe, I saw where he was kind of upset, man, about that last-minute touchdown against Lacey. But, man, it's all good, man. He got high, man. We got high hopes for the guy, man. But, everybody was tired or whatever else, man, so it was all good. But it was a great game, man. I'm looking forward to the, second time of the season. We got Mercer next. That shouldn't be, they are, I think, 9-1 in the season, but we should take care of them, man. And that's it, man. That's all I got.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your service, Chris, and thanks for calling in, man. Good call.
Absolutely.
All right, roll tide to you. So Chris hit on some really good points. I mean, for whatever reason, we are not hyping up Damani Jackson. I mean, and Chris is right. Damani Jackson is playing some fantastic, and you know what? He's been playing really good football throughout the entire season. If you really look at it collectively, so we need to honor Damani Jackson more. And that was great point out. The emergence of Bray Hubbard, that, it's cliche. Next man up, next man. The guy, he was the next man up, and he's that guy. 2 interceptions in 2 games, and Chris is right. And I said this earlier, and I knew this coming in. Bray Hubbard, I think he's the hardest hitter collectively on the defensive side. Kind of reminds me of almost like a DeMarco Helms a couple years ago in terms of the physicality that he has, right? And he is at the right place, right time. I mean, he had a really bone-jarring kid against LSU, and he comes up with another interception. And then Jalen Mbakwe, I don't think there's one Alabama fan that is mad at Jalen Mbakwe for allowing that touchdown in the back end, because I think when we look to Jalen Mbakwe, this is a freshman being put in against LSU's starting wide receivers. I think what we look to for Jalen Mbakwe is the growth of Jalen Mbakwe and how he's maturing as a player. Corner is the most challenging position to play in all of college football. No one's mad at you, Jalen Mbakwe, at all. I mean, this guy is it, and I can't. Think about this. You have Ryan Williams for 2 more seasons. You have Jalen Mbakwe for 2 more seasons. All these guys that are playing as freshmen, it's really impressive to see them continue to grow. All right, T, are we watching for Coach Kalen Deboer? Yeah. All right, we'll try to take this call. I might have to cut you off 256, but let's try to get it in real quick. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, my name is Edward. I'm calling in from Anniston, Alabama.
All right, Edward, let's make it quick. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here, man.
Okay, I'm just gonna make it real fast. It's just just a little defense of the coach. It's funny to me. A lot of people have got a little short memory, when they're coming with the criticism this year, because everybody forgets about Nick Saban and all the fiascos with the field goal kicking and shit when he started. So I mean, let's give the guy a pass. He's still learning the game. He's done a great show up this year, and like I said, we just got to have that short memory, because success made a lot of erase. But I remember the frustration with the field goal stuff back with Nick Saban. So I like the coach. He's got this thing turned around. It's looking good, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for calling in from Anniston. Appreciate you. We're gonna wait for the press conferences. So let's. How are we, T? 601, I'll give you like 30 seconds. Let's take it right now. All right, 601, you just made it. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Jay Pensacola.
What's up, Jay? We're on the shot clock, man. You got like 30 seconds, so time starts now. Welcome to the show.
hey. I got you, man. I just want to say I'm glad we went there and dominate like we did. and Ohio State people talking about how we play Mercer in mid-November, and like you just played Purdue, and when Mercer is ranked higher than Purdue, and it's crazy. But I want to say glad we won, and sorry about you going, fella, and appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I appreciate you, man. Call back again, Jay from the 610 calling in. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We are waiting for Coach Kalen Deboer up at the podium. He'll be here at 12, but that you get your offensive and defensive coordinator coming up next, and we'll carry that right here on Bama Football on YouTube whenever they do get here. So we will keep you posted whenever they go live. We appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. And we'll take just a 2-second break, and I'll be right back here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hey, fam, we are waiting for Coach Kalen Deboer to go live. It'll be Kane Womack and Nick Sheridan. I don't know if the university is having technical issues, so just give it just a few more minutes. Please stand by. I'll be right back here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thanks for being patient. Appreciate you guys.
Use the example. In practice, right, and it showed up on game day, and he made a hell of a play in that regard. You know, on the other side of it, I'm going to use the example. We showed them that sneak play that they ran on 4th down. All right, we used that in the Saturday morning walkthrough. Got prepared for it, kind of talked about it, worked it, but we didn't execute it in the moment. And so every single rep matters, whether it's a walkthrough rep on a blacktop outside of a hotel on Saturday, or a Tuesday or Wednesday practice red zone rep that we end up getting a takeaway off of it. Every single rep matters, and it can be the difference in the game. And we saw that on Saturday.
Stay on the right side, Nick.
Yeah, you talked about situational success. What would you say went into those twice when they were within 5 yards of the goal line and you guys made stops? So what would you say was the key there?
You know, we put in a little, we tweaked some things that we were doing down there from a scheme standpoint, but I think it was just the different variations of stuff that we have already been doing. Our guys are just getting better and more comfortable at things that we're defending down in the red zone. So, you know, red zone defense, it's not overly complicated in some of the things that we do from like what we're asking them to do scheme-wise, but how you defend all the different variations of passing concepts that teams run down there, it takes a little while to kind of lean into that, and I think our guys are starting to do a nice job. And to, you know, to his point before, they're playing with anticipation.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Just with Q Robinson's injury, just maybe what does that do to the Wolf linebacker depth, and who do you maybe look to step up in his absence?
Yeah, you know, Q, unfortunately, you know, he's done a tremendous job this season, and unfortunately will not be with us for the rest of the year. You know, that's a hard thing to go through as a player. That's certainly hard on us as a team. You know, when you have a guy that's been so productive for us, he's a leader for us. I've been so impressed with Q. I've told you guys this before, just impressed with his level of urgency every single day, the leadership and demanding presence in terms of holding the standard that I think he really has brought to some of our younger players and some younger guys in that room. And so he'll still have to continue some of those roles, right, of being a great leader. He's just going to have to do that from an off-the-field role. And so we'll have to continue to step up and move on without him. I've got a lot of confidence in some of our younger players that I think have stepped up in that position already. And Quay Rousseau and Yanze Pierre is doing a really good job starting to get a little bit more out of him. And so, you know, those guys are excited for the challenge, next man up mentality. And when you look in, you know, as the season goes on, these are the defining moments. Is do players step up in the moment when they're needed, and ultimately that will, you know, determine our success here on the back end of the season.
Let's go, Tony, on the left side.
And two quick follow-ups on that. We didn't see Keanu Coote, at the LSU game. And then is there an update on him? And then also, how much progress have you seen from Keeley and just kind of his move to that position?
Okay, well, Keon Keeley, Yeah, so Keon is playing the bandit position. Actually, got in the game at the end there, is doing some really nice things. I think learning the position, he's always been a stand-up guy, right? So that's a totally different world when you're putting your hand in the dirt and you're playing all those things. But I think, there's some optimism about what he can do for us. He's just learning the position. But from a physical standpoint, from an effort standpoint, I think he's really taken steps in the right direction there. So Keanu Coate won't be with us this week. I'll let Kalen kind of address those things, but certainly the other guys in the room are ready to step up and fill the role that will, without Q Rob being there.
Let's go to Mike in the middle here.
What does Jihad bring to you when he's on the edge, and without Q, is that something maybe we can explore a little bit more?
Yeah, we're doing those things with Jihad already, as a pass rusher and some sub package things, and I think he's really he's such a difference maker wherever you put him on the field, and so you want to find creative ways to get him in one-on-one matchups from a pass rush standpoint. There's things that we can do from a standpoint of if we show him as a defensive end and then drop him out in coverage, right? There's different things that we can do scheme-wise from that perspective. But certainly in terms of giving us pass rush, I think that is a piece of his game, and that's what, to me, makes him such a well-rounded player. You can play him as an inside backer, you can play him as an outside backer, as a rush edge. That dude's playing 4 different positions for us right now and is able to hold a lot of volume in terms of what we ask him to do. And so Jihad's playing at a really high level. We're going to utilize him any way we can.
Go to Kirk right next to Mike.
Coach, you've intimated some of this, but I was curious as to the progress of the team going from day one forward. Was this a big step in a kind of a permanent step this week, or would you say it was still just part of the trend line?
Yeah, I would love to say it's a permanent step. I just don't have a crystal ball, in front of me there. I think our guys are taking steps in the right direction. I think we're trending in the right direction as a defense. I do think there are players understanding of what we're due from a scheme standpoint. I think our players fundamentally are getting better and better. Our coaches are doing a really tremendous job of just continuing to build the fundamentals within our players. And they're starting to play with a lot of offensive recognition and anticipation, And so to me, to me, the makings of a good defense are to, create enough negative plays and game-changing style plays and also limit explosives at the same time. And I think we're doing that at a higher level, than where we were maybe at the beginning of the season. So,
Jumping to the left side, let's go to Colin.
Hey, Kane. With those players, you mentioned Quay, you mentioned Yanzi as guys that would replace Q Robinson. I'm curious what kind of example that Q Robinson has been to those younger players, whether it's, even if it's the next guys up like Justin, or what kind of example has Q Robinson been in terms of on-field, like this is what we expect out of a linebacker in that position?
Yeah, I think kind of going on what I said before. I think Q holds the standard of urgency, practice habits, discipline that it takes to do that role and to play that position, because there's a lot of things that we ask that guy to do in terms of being a part of the run fit, dropping out in coverage, folding back inside, blitzing off the edge, all those different skill sets, right, that it requires. And there's also a lot mentally that those guys have to be locked into. And so I think Q's really set the standard of the urgency that you have to be disciplined to do your job in that role. But then there's also just a level of energy that he brings and effort that he brings to practice, and it shows up on game day in terms of some of the physicality and effort that he's showing. So, those other guys, it's a great room. C-Rob does a really, really good job with those guys, and they're bought into to that position, like what we do out of it, and they like their role. But, ultimately, when you have a guy that has been a really steady presence and a playmaker on defense, those other guys are going to have to step up in the moment.
We're going to finish up with Katie here in the middle.
You talked in your opening about keys to victory, and you do a lot of the weeks. Are those actual tangible things you come up with for the guys each week, and then are able to point to after the game of, okay, we did this and it helped us win, or
Yeah.
we didn't do this and it contributed to a loss?
Yeah, so we started doing that years ago. I mean, there's things that we carry within the Storm D that are kind of our identity, who we are as a defense. And then on top of that, we talk about what are the 3 things that we have to do to win this game specifically. So we talk about it as a defensive staff on Mondays, and then we present it to the players on Tuesday morning, and then we review that on Sunday of whether we hit those markers or not. Some of those things, are tangible. Things that we ask our guys to do in terms of maybe stopping the run with a certain number or third down efficiency or whatever it may be. But other things like affecting the quarterback, you can point to certain tangible things, but also did we put him in a position to where the quarterback played at a more uncomfortable level than what he normally plays? And, I thought we were able to do that this past week, and so that was going to be a critical piece of the game, and so we kind of made sure we laid that out for the players.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Coach Sheridan. If you have a question, raise your hand. Start here with Nick.
Yeah, what types of pre-snap adjustments did you guys make from previous road games to help you guys out more this game?
Well, we certainly evaluated what we had done in the past and then tried to just alter some of the lines of communication. It wasn't anything drastically different. We just did a better job of it.
Go all the way back in the room here on the right line.
For a confidence standpoint, how big was that win on the road? And what are you telling your guys about playing in a hostile environment with everyone watching?
Well, I think I don't think the confidence of the group has wavered. We just we're looking forward to another opportunity in an environment like that to play better, and so we did that, and that was I was excited for the players because I know they were itching to get back into an environment like that against a quality opponent on a big stage, and so they handled it better than we had in the past, certainly, and so I was proud of them. And we know there's a lot of work to be done still, and we know that there'll be other moments where we'll need to improve on things that we've done previously, and so that's really the focus. But I was proud of them on how they handled the environment.
Far left, Chase.
Jalen didn't get sacked against LSU. I know he got flushed out of the pocket pretty quick a couple times, but considering that road environment you just mentioned, considering LSU's got a premier pass rusher with Swinson, number 4, was this the best pass pro night of the season for y'all?
Well, I think we were efficient running the football, and that kept us out of some situations, that allowed them to rush. And I certainly felt like up front the guys did a great job, both in the run game and in the protection. There certainly was time for Jalen back there to go through reads. And I thought Jalen was very decisive in the pocket as well. He threw the ball to some checkdowns. He got the ball out of his hand. I thought the staff did a nice job collectively of putting together some plays that allowed him to do that, and certainly the players deserve the credit for bringing that to life. So I think it was a combination of things, of trying to stay out of some of those situations. I know I had mentioned that early in the week about being efficient on first and second down, trying to stay out of some really tough spots where there's really no guesswork on if it's a run or a pass. And so we certainly handled that well, and having no sacks in that environment, the credit belongs to the players for their execution in those moments.
Let's go to Emily Grace in the middle of the room.
Coach, you and some of the staff made your way down to the field towards the end of the game. What was that walk like through the end zone for you?
Well, I was just trying to, the game was essentially over, and, the only thing that was left was us taking a knee when we got the ball back. And so just trying to get down to the people that you care about and enjoy those moments, those brief moments that you have in those type of environments. So I was just happy for the players, their families, everybody that, put so much hard work, into each week. And so to be able to get down there, at the end, not just myself, but the other guys that are up in the box, it was a special moment. And I was glad I was able to do it.
Let's go to Katie.
You guys finished 10 of 13 on third downs. How much was that staying out of those third and long situations, but then also just kind of the execution of the guys on third down?
Combination, certainly that was a point of emphasis over the break. We had not been, we did not execute well in the previous 2 games on third down. There was no surprise, that was no secret. And so we certainly looked at it closely over the break on what we were doing, what LSU was going to present to us in those situations to try to, be better. And we were. And so that was certainly a critical point in the game, or a critical factor in the game, was our ability to stay on the field and execute in third downs.
Go in front right here with Kennedy.
We saw Jim Miller have a really big role in pass catching. How have you seen that area of his game in the running back room's game grow from fall camp to now?
I think both him and Justice have had good moments catching the ball out of the backfield. Third downs, just keeping the chains moving, both of those guys. And that's certainly a factor, and something that we consider in our offense, the variety of routes and concepts that we want to make sure that we use each and every week. The different route tree that each group of players, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, that we ask them to do is certainly big, and they've handled it well. I think Coach Gillespie's done a great job of coaching them up on some of those routes, and they've done a great job of executing in those moments. So, yeah, Jam was certainly impactful in the game. Justice has been in the past. Their ability to come out of the backfield and catch the football is certainly, it makes it easier for the quarterback. It makes it harder to defend for us offensively, and something that we'll always incorporate in our offense.
Far right here, Matt.
What do you think of the job they did settling down after the penalty on the first play there?
We did good. Yeah. Did better than the first play, for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Colin on the left.
When you think about the makeup of your quarterback room, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Austin, Dylan, any of those guys, Ty, is there a commonality in terms of, mental makeup, physical attributes? Is it like an intangible that all of them share?
Yeah. Well, intangibles wouldn't be anything physical, right? So I think character, who they are as people. They have great families. Their parents have raised them the right way. And I think they're mentally tough. So those would be commonalities amongst all those guys. And I think at this level, that would be pretty standard across, the highest level of football, is guys that have great character, they're built the right way, and that are mentally tough.
We have a question on the back left here.
The Russian attack paid off pretty early in the game against LSU. What did you see in their defense that you knew could limit them?
Well, I think each week you're trying to identify what you need to do to win the game. And certainly the last few weeks, that has been a priority for us, based on who we have, is a commitment to running the football. And it's not always going to work out that way. You have to look at who you're playing, both from a schematic standpoint and from a personnel standpoint, and then you try to put your players in the best position to be successful. I think weather was a factor as well. We were mindful of what the forecast was going to be and what the game might turn out to be. And so you factor in a lot of different things as you're preparing for a game. And then you have to adjust in game based on how they're defending you and what's working and what's not. And so, some of the plays that we were able to execute, the players did a great job of making the right plays at the right time. I thought we blocked well. And so that usually, puts you in a position to be able to run the football effectively. I thought the guys that ran the football ran hard and tough. I thought the tight ends blocked well. I thought we did a nice job. And certainly when you can control the line of scrimmage and run the ball effectively and efficiently, That's always a good formula, particularly when you're on the road.
We got time for a couple more questions. Start with Jack here in front row.
Hey, Nick, we've heard Tyler Booker praised as a leader all season, but how have you kind of seen him maybe evolve as one, whether it's just for the offensive line unit or just a leader for the offense as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I can't credit him enough. I think he's been fantastic. He's obviously an exceptional football player, but his leadership throughout the course of this season has been outstanding, and we're going to continue to lean on him in that regard. I think he's become more and more comfortable, probably holding people accountable, challenging people. We've made a concerted effort to let him know that, we have his back in that way. Everybody in the program respects Tyler Booker, and so when he sees something that's not up to par, he has, the authority to make sure that he holds people accountable. And I think that's what great leaders do, and he is that. There's no doubt about it. He's obviously an exceptional football player, but his influence on our team and our side of the football, not just with the offensive line, but all the positions, has been exceptional. And, we expect that to continue.
We'll finish it up with Emily Grace, who has a follow-up.
Coach, in postgame, Jalen said that you coached him really hard to do what the play asks of him. In what ways did you see that on the field, and what was your approach in preparing him for the LSU game?
Well, we're just, not specific to him, but all the players, we want them to execute things a certain way. Sometimes you can have production and yet you didn't do it the right way. And sometimes when that happens, your consistency over time is not what you want it to be. And so there's a right way to do things fundamentally, reads, footwork. If you're a blocker, hat placement, leverage, you name it. There's a right way to do it so that you can get repeated and consistent results. And so that certainly was a message to the players that, just because you had production doesn't mean that you did it right. And the longer you play, when you go against good teams, your fundamentals, your technique, the simple execution always shows up. And so we were better. We did a better job. But the things that have happened this past week will have no impact on the game this Saturday. And so our ability to have the right week of preparation, the right mindset, the right work ethic, so that you can continue to improve. Your best game should be your next game if you have the right mindset, the right work ethic, and that's the message to the guys, to do it right all the time, and so that you have the best results that you possibly can have when those moments show up.
All right.
Okay. Thanks. Roll Tide.
All right, same routine. We'll have Coach Deboer begin with his opening statement, and then we'll take questions. So whenever you're ready, Coach.
Yeah, you bet. Good morning. And just with it being Veterans Day, I just do want to say a quick thank you to those that have served, those that continue to serve, give us the freedoms that we have. So appreciate all the veterans. And then I think the next thing, just with injuries, I think Kane maybe alluded to it, but with Q's injury, certainly determined now that he'll be out for the remainder of the year. Unfortunately, just a special person in every way. You hate to see a guy who pours so much into it, go through what he's going through. And he just, the one thing when I think about Q, it's not just what he does on the field, but pre-practice, he is mentoring, doing things for other guys. And it's just, he cares so much about the team. He cares so much about just this place. And that's just something that sticks out on top of what you see on game days. And so just a great person. He's poured a lot into this place. And then I think recapping LSU, just proud of the way the guys prepared, proud of the way that they started, the confidence that they showed early on led to the production, led to us playing our most complete game, offense, defense, special teams, always areas that we can continue to improve. Probably the biggest thing that I saw is just our kickoff team, which has been rock solid on top of it all season long. One of the best in the country. I put them up against anyone. Just having some times where we lapsed there, and a couple new looks that we needed to adjust better and quickly to. So just that was one area where we need to be better. But moving forward to Mercer, extremely high quality football team, and us handling success coming off of a game or games that we've had here. It's important for us to do the right things as far as knowing no points carry over from last week. Nothing as far as our stops carry over. We've got a team that's coming in 9-1, very confident team, pretty much lead their league in every, or not every, but most statistical categories on both sides of the ball. And so just, want to make sure we continue to do what we've been doing to take the steps in moving forward as a football program.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Charlie here on the right.
Yeah, Coach Kane kind of alluded to it, but Keanu Coote wasn't with you guys last week, and he kind of said he wouldn't be here this week. Do you have an update just where his status stands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't with us, and he's suspended right now, and so not gonna get into length or anything like that, but he won't be with us this weekend.
Nick, all right.
Yeah, Kalen, what types of, pre-snap adjustments did you guys make from previous road games for this game, specifically with making sure that clean snap, timing was right, making sure noise didn't affect things?
We did a little bit with just the procedure, a little bit of adjustment on just communication there. But it's stuff that it's just, we had done it that way. We've done it both ways, different places I've been. Feel good about both procedures. We just did adjust it, tweak it just a small amount. I think probably as much as anything, it's the number of reps we got, and just this being the second time really after the Tennessee game, and then also having a bye week and just really honing in on it and be dialed, and helps when you make plays too, and there was less plays where we had as much noise, and so the percentages were more in our favor as far as just the execution piece, but our guys just did a better job handling it from start to finish.
Go to far left to Chase.
So if this comparison is a reach, then feel free to shoot it down. But 2 years ago, your first season at Washington, you won a huge game against Oregon. It was a November road game, just like LSU. You had 2 losses at the time, just like LSU. Mm-hmm. You win that game, and you hit the streak where you don't lose again until the CFP this past January. Was that Oregon game a catalyst for the culture you were trying to build there? And can this LSU win be similar that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our experiences that we have individually, right, we always remember them and the learning moments that you go through. For our team, they weren't through that. But for me, just, you do take in those times, whether it's that season or 10 years ago. There's just things you go through that were part of the process then, that you try to remember and try to figure out what worked and what didn't, to keep the team moving in the right direction. And honestly, it's really simple. You got momentum to build off of. You make sure you take advantage of it, and then you also continue to just keep the pedal down, keep focused on what you believe in. And we've been doing that, and we were doing that then that year, and we're doing that now. Just stay in the course, and just because all of a sudden, you kind of feel like you get over a hump doesn't mean, you can just let off, because it's about the next play. The next one's the most important one, and that's good. That's been our focus really since day one. It's just that now the execution, the number of reps, all of those things are helping us execute better. And so, questions probably, Nick was just up here. How were we able to, be more productive? Well, our execution is better. We weren't behind the chains, and so the playbook's more available to you. It's a lot easier to call plays, and so just all those things, those experiences that you're referring to, yeah, I'm certainly aware of those, and it feels a lot like that, but it doesn't guarantee, right? It doesn't guarantee us anything. We got to keep moving forward, build on the momentum that we have right now at this point in the year.
Staying on the left side, let's go to Tony.
What development have you seen from the backup quarterbacks in your unit, Ty and Dylan and Austin this season working behind Jalen?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, because you don't see them. We get to see them, and this is what I'll tell you: that the work that they are putting in. There's guys throwing on. I guess yesterday would have been Sunday, right? Because I can envision walking outside for a second and seeing one of the guys out there throwing at 9 a.m. in the morning. Doing his thing, and others just really paying attention in the meetings and coming up and meeting individually with Mitch Dowling, with our offensive staff, Coach Sheridan, myself, just a lot of opportunities that they're all taking advantage of to help their growth. And then they get on the football field. You see familiarity with the offense, especially those, Austin had a little bit more familiarity, but then you also see growth in fundamental things. Guys that are helping out with scout team. I know last week I talked about Austin being heavily involved in the scout team. You see the throws, the accuracy of the throws. You just taking advantage of every rep, and these guys are doing that. And this season isn't just something that's about Jalen and I hope I get my time. They're pressing forward and using the resources we have, and then also putting forth the effort to improve any time that they can.
Go to the middle of the room to Emily Grace.
Coach, you mentioned in the open that it's important how success is handled. At this point in the season, what is your standard for how that success is handled with your players, but also your staff?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be the same no matter what time of the year. It's all about the next play, the next play, and then obviously for us now the next game. We talked about handling success before. We've won games earlier in the season and talked about handling success, and I still felt like the effort and everything poured into the right things was happening then too. But I also think that now we've been tested, we've been through adversity. We're a little more, we've been through the battles together, and I think we understand better who we are, but we also understand better, what we can do. And we're honing in on what our strengths are. We've continued to really focus on the weaknesses and areas that people maybe perceive as ways to get after us on both sides of the ball. And so, I think that's the whole key, is handling success is one thing, but our just continual development and growth and improvement, that's a big deal for us right now. And that's what's happened over the last 3 or 4 weeks, is that's finally coming to fruition. You can see it in practice, and unfortunately there's been times where you don't see it in a game. Now you saw it in a game in a lot of different ways.
Coach, some of the reporters here covered Coach Saban in the past, and the players had Coach Saban as their coach. How do you handle a success like that? The social media, everyone's saying Alabama's back after a must-win game, and kind of telling them to stay the course, kind of like what Emily Grace was saying.
Yeah, I think we've I don't want to say we learned a lesson, but we understand that doesn't matter, right? And we understand that it's all about building on what we did do last week, because it was significant, just like we would learn from the areas that we're falling short on a game we've lost. But it's all about just staying with the process, staying with the preparation. I want the guys to keep an edge, because I think there is a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a, I don't want to say chip on their shoulder. I think edge is the better word to use that we have. A little bit of backs to the wall, kind of fighting for your life at times, that I think exists. And I think every guy has a little different way of where they're driven to go out there and put forth the best effort and practice, bring the best energy that they have. What I've really challenged the guys with is to have more and more leaders stepping up. I think I've said that in here a few weeks back, is that our young guys aren't young guys anymore. Our transfers, they're not transfers anymore. We are a full team, and we need every guy, because there's starters that now, we were just referred to Q. There's starters that aren't with us, aren't able to be on the football field due to injury. More and more guys got to step up, yes, on Saturdays, but more and more just need to step up as leaders. And the more leaders we can have that, first of all, take care of their business and bring then others that can bring the rest of the team with them. There's a lot of influence on our football team in a good way, and you can see it and feel it on the practice field, and that's where it all starts.
Go to Kennington in the front row here.
kind of on that note, how did Devontae Smith come out of Saturday, and what did you see from Deshaun Jones filling in to his place?
No, good question. With Deshaun, he's been just right there, ready to go. We've moved him around a little bit with positions just because he's a very versatile player, and he's got game experience. With his past and coming in, just kind of learning things and being ready to go. I'm really proud of him for that. So I'm excited about his growth that he's had and the opportunities he's taken advantage of like he did on Saturday. With Devontae, that would be something I think just throughout the week we'll continue to manage and kind of see where he's at. I haven't heard the update today, but I think he'll be fine as the week continues on.
Opposite side here. Let's go to Colin.
Hey, Kalen, kind of going off of a couple questions, but I mean, LSU isn't traditionally a game where you get to see kind of younger players, second string. The game had been decided at that point, but to have guys like Richard Young or Ty or guys that usually may not get to experience Tiger Stadium until they have to, until the job is theirs. What was it like to, I guess, see those guys in those roles, those younger guys, both on offense and defense, kind of be able to go up to that?
Yeah, you're happy for them because they work extremely hard. Those guys, as we said, quarterbacks are working extra, putting extra time in. Getting our running backs, you alluded to with Rich, getting out there on the football field. All these guys that work extremely hard, getting a chance to go out there, be rewarded. That's what it's all about. And we're a team, and it's not just the 11 guys that are out there starting on each side of the ball. I'm happy for them, and glad that we executed well enough to where we were in that spot to where those guys get a chance to go out and perform. And when they get their moment, they're taking advantage of it. They've done it a number of times throughout the year.
We've got time for a couple more questions, starting with Jack here.
Hey, Kalen, you talked about leadership. Obviously, Tyler Booker's gotten a lot of praise in that regard. How big has he been? And when you think back to when you first arrived, how big was he at that time just to have some stabilization with the players as you kind of got settled in?
Yeah, there's been a number of leaders on our team that have really, since day one, been critical for us. The questions about Book, I can't give him enough praise. And I can say this because I know he handles it, and he can handle it well, and it's not something that goes to his head. He is so passionate about this place. He's so passionate about being the best he can be. He's got a resiliency, I think, and just, that has helped us as a team also have that, level of response to adversity that's been positive. He just keeps pushing. He's got respect amongst his teammates at the highest level. From a leadership standpoint, he's vocal, but obviously leads by example all at the same time. And the combination, he might be one of the best leaders I've ever been around. And so I know that's saying a lot because I've been around a lot of really good ones. And, when you put those guys in that category, he's really special. And it's because he takes care of his business, 100% of the time. And he's pushing others to make sure that they're their best too. And I think that's what great leaders do, is they bring the best out of everyone else around them.
All right, we'll finish up here on the back left.
You've now had a blowout and a shutout over ranked opponents. What does that mean in terms of making a statement?
Yeah, I like the progress we've had, and every week's a new challenge in different ways. Last week, with the passing game and kind of the way that we felt we knew they would attack us, rising to the challenge, was big. And the shutout the week before happened as a combination of stopping both the run and the pass, different quarterbacks in and out. But that's progress. Like, there's steps forward. There's confidence that continues to build, a trust that happens between the front and the back halves. I really like the demeanor that they bring, and it all starts with what their demeanor is going to be tomorrow morning, Tuesday, when we step on the football field. That's really the demeanor that you want and that we've had, that needs to continue for us to do the same thing this Saturday that we did last Saturday. And so, again, when that mindset's where it needs to be and the work's done, each and every day. That trust, that belief, it just continues to build, and you can see that with our defense.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, fam. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here. This was our weekly Monday. I call this our long show. I don't know if that's the way to say it, but a couple things to take away from this was Keanu Coates suspended from the team this week. We don't know what the suspension is. I guess, your guess is as good as mine, but he is suspended. You also have Q-Rob, who will be out for the season with the arm injury. I think that is obviously significant considering the depth. When you look at this game this coming weekend against a one-loss Mercer team, what is the depth at the Wolf position going to look like? I guess Quay Russo and Yanzi Pierre, and who knows, Noah Carter. You guys are up next for this weekend's game. Thought the press conference was pretty solid overall. I mean, I think losing Q is really big. He went on to talk about some pre-snap adjustments, talked about blocking out the noise following this victory against LSU, which I think is probably one of the most important things going forward, right? Blocking out the noise following a victory against LSU, right? You're the team. You're back. Alabama's in. Like, block it out because you got to win the remainder of the games to even make the playoffs. So that's kind of where we are. One more time, I'll show the veterans board. I appreciate you guys. Remember, freedom isn't free. We appreciate all of our veterans. If you see this on the rewatch, go ahead and post your name inside the comment box, and we will get you on our veterans board. We appreciate you guys. This will be something that we don't do just today on Veterans Day, but during the shows throughout the season, we'll continue to go to our veterans board. We appreciate you guys, and we support the veterans here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Got work to do right now is we got to upload the press conference and do some other things that we do right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Remember, Thursday through Sunday, I will be in Clayton, New Mexico. We'll check out the internet strength over there, and as I go out for my grandfather's services. So thank you very much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Coming to you from beautiful Hollywood, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for the super chats, for the thumbs up, and for everything else, including the support right here